Tell me how, I got nothing to say. Tell me why my tombstone is blank. 'Cause I'm not the one who won't try. I'm not letting life pass me by. And tell me when the days are less gray. And tell me where is the road to less pain. How many days before I decay? It's getting so hard to get by. Where are all my trophies in life? And he hated the way he was dying, but the moment he turned on the light, he became what he dreamt of at night when he was young and hungry for life. Set to sail to a place I can't say. Live a life worthy of chase. The time is today. New blood in my veins. I won't be the joker in life, playing the part I don't like. And he hated the way he was dying.
Monday night. And this is the last Monday Night Raw and last Raw Post Show of 2025. The Usos, they're now yeeting with the WWE World Tag Team Championships. 9 times. Are they the greatest? No. No, they're not. But damn, that was a great main event. Bron Breakker, outside of a couple of shaky moments, I thought he did fantastic tonight against CM Punk face to face as they build towards their World Heavyweight Championship match next week in New York City. And thank God Nikki Bella did not win the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Thank God. Well, Solid Monster cursed us there for a second, bro. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday night. We're going to the venue. Not only will I be drinking an ice-cold adult beverage, join me while I show everybody why I do this better than John Alba ever could. And when I get there on this Monday night, I want to know, while we serve him some virgin martinis, what the fuck are you guys drinking? I'll see you over there. What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is your Monday Night Raw Post Show for December 29th, 2025. I'm your host, JD from New York. As always, coming to you live from the OTS venue inside my mother's basement. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Monday evening, wherever you may be. And we got to shout them out. Round of drinks on me for Richard Cohn with a $100 super chat. Guys dropping bombs before we even open the bar tonight, man. Hey, JD, happy holidays. You, Jesse, Solid Monster. The money is from me and my wife. We love you guys. You are the fucking best at what we do. See you guys next year. Hopefully, wrestling will be a lot better. Richard, thank you so very much, my brother. Tell your wife thank you on behalf of me Solid Monster and Jesse, we thank you very much for being here every single week, every single night. And Happy New Year to you, my friend. Thank you very much. Monday night. It's the last Raw of the year. I was just happy that the show's back to being live. When things are taped or things are overseas and we are on a tape delay, I feel like things just kind of never really amount to being eventful. It feels very much less than. The excitement levels aren't there. Spoilers are out there. Everybody's rushing to get spoilers out there for clicks and engagement. And people love ruining things for others who very much want to be surprised and spoiler-free. Last couple of weeks have been rough. WWE was on Christmas break. Both Raw and SmackDown and NXT were taped through the holidays. Not much happens. Everything just kind of felt flat. Tonight's show didn't really pick up the energy or do anything different coming out of the holidays. This was still very much a show that set up next week's big show in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, where WWE is going to be celebrating 1 year on Netflix, January 5th next week. This was a show that set the stage, or will be setting the stage, for what's happening next week. Thing is, nothing really big happened on tonight's show outside of a title change in the main event between the Usos, AJ Styles, and Dragon Lee, which we'll get into in just a second. Nothing really big happened on tonight's show. We got the return of Penta. Penta's back. Anytime Penta's on the show, it's a great addition. Love Penta. Bron Breakker and CM Punk, they had a great face-to-face. Bron Breakker, once again, carrying himself incredibly well for a youngster against the veteran CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. Looking forward to that match. One of the reasons why I'm looking forward to the match is because I genuinely don't know who's going to win. It could really go either way. Could go Bron Breakker, could go CM Punk. So WWE's done a very good job of building this match, making it feel big, and giving us a little side dish of unpredictability. But this show didn't really do anything as far as like advancing a story or giving us something new. And then you look at next week's show, and next week's show looks like a great show. We got a tag team title match for the ladies. It's Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors. We have CM Punk and Bron Breakker. We have Maxine Dupree versus Becky Lynch. We may get one or two other matches added. We have no idea what WWE's got planned for next week's show. I just don't know what WWE has planned because I feel like, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, new year, let's start the year off with a bang. I just don't know where that bang is going to come from. And a lot of WWE television has felt flat. A lot of WWE television has felt uneventful. Little to no surprises. In my opinion, they need to do something next week. What that something is, I don't know. Now, the rumor is Chris Jericho could potentially be debuting with the company as soon as next week's Raw. He could be returning to the company next week in Brooklyn on January 5th. His contract expires with All Elite Wrestling as soon as the clock strikes midnight. Soon as we get the ball dropped, Chris Jericho is a free agent. Now, do I think WWE and Chris Jericho will be working together in the new year? 100%. Do I think a contract is signed? No. Do I think a contract is on the table ready to be signed? Yes, I do. As soon as that calendar turns over to 2026, a signature will be had on that paper. Chris Jericho is expected back in WWE. Contract with AEW expires in a few days, and he is the surprise that I think WWE should be giving us next week. If Bron Breakker is not going to win the World Heavyweight Championship next week and send us off the air with a new World Heavyweight Champion, something needs to happen. The show just simply can't go off the air with CM Punk retains over all members of the Vision. We'll see you guys later. They cannot go into next week's show with a lame duck ending. Do you guys remember what Triple H said last year? I guess it wouldn't technically be last year. It was the beginning of this year. We have 2 more days for the remainder of this year. It was back in January. Actually, it was back in December. Right around this time, WWE, they welcomed fans and media to their new Stamford, Connecticut headquarters. And they had what was a pep rally. Talent was there. It was live streamed on their YouTube channel. Triple H and Michael Cole and Nick Khan and everybody was there. All the bigwigs were there. Triple H stated that the start of Monday night on Netflix, January 6th, at the beginning of this year, would be the official starts for the road to WrestleMania. Normally, that's the Rumble. He pushed it to January 6th. He sped it up to January 6th. When we got to January 6th, we were left with pomp and all the pageantry of Netflix, and we got video packages galore about this new partnership, and we got Dwayne coming out to open the show. Not The Rock, not the final boss, Dwayne. And then he's there glazing Cody Rhodes like a Krispy Kreme donut. And we get Rollins and CM Punk in the main event. We get a cameo by The Undertaker and an appearance with Rhea Ripley. Hulk Hogan got booed out of Los Angeles, if you guys remember. God rest his soul. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa for the Ulafala. Sounds like an entertaining show, huh? It was one of the more uneventful Raws of the entire year. It was a deflated Raw. It was like they took the fucking pin needle and popped the balloon. The official start to the road of WrestleMania, bro, I didn't feel any fucking road starting at all. You think I forgot, huh? What an absolute fucking disappointment that show was. Then we got the rumor of Penta joining the company, and the shows that followed, they were a little bit more up to speed. They were a little bit more up to par for what we expected. The shows that actually followed in the following week and the week after that were better than the fucking debut episode. There's the Monday Night Raw we needed on January 6th. Where the fuck was that show? Next week, they need to do something big. I don't really trust them to do anything big. This is fucking Sesame Street Levesque. He plays it as safe as possible. This is the same guy that's got to call fucking Big Bird to get creative okayed. As far as I'm concerned, Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch are running the fucking show. Next year should be a year of building youth, focusing on the future. Stories. Getting people invested with long-term stories that aren't too short and aren't too long. Next year should be a year of unpredictability. Next year should be a year of taking some risks. Next year should be a year of correcting all the mistakes and washing out the bad taste in everybody's mouth from what was a very down year creatively. Very down year creatively for WWE. Is Chris Jericho going to be the answer to all their problems? No. No, it's going to be a great return, especially if he comes out to Judas which I hope he does. Even though that's not the best Fozzy song. To the fucking simple-minded, it's the best Fozzy song, but it's not the best Fozzy song. Not at all. Hopefully he walks out to Judas. Hopefully he gets a great reaction. And hopefully we get something along the lines of that popping us next week for the 1-year anniversary show. Jericho's expected back in WWE. WrestleVotes reported it today. People in WWE have expected Jericho to come back once he's finished with AEW since last August. In August of 2025, WrestleVotes reported that there was interest in bringing Jericho back, noting that several people within the company, including active talent on the roster, were advocating for his return. Gee, there's active people on that roster that were advocating for his return. Meanwhile, you go in my thread that I posted last night in regards to Chris Jericho, and the fan base vehemently doesn't understand. They don't really grasp the gravity of losing someone like Chris Jericho. The fans are so fucking stupid that they only think Jericho's worth is what he does on television. Thank God I'm not one of the social media troglodytes that has fucking zero brain. Losing Jericho is bigger than what you think it is. Roster. Active roster. People you see on television advocating for his return. Sources at the time indicated that a deal was expected to be finalized as soon as Jericho's contract is expired. I would be a betting man that there's already a contract in his email. Guaranteed. Jericho's current contract with AEW is set to expire on December 31st, 2025. As soon as we get that clock turning over to 2026, it's over. He's been absent from AEW programming since April of 2025 following a loss to Bandito. Since that appearance, reports indicate there have been no active plans for him in AEW. There was no sign of Jericho at the World's End pay-per-view on Saturday night. Now, during his live stream on December 27th, Jericho held a live stream on his YouTube channel, and he addressed a fan question regarding the possibility of a WWE return. You never know. You never know. That's all he basically said. Earlier in the year, he told media outlets, use that term loosely, I'm pretty sure you'll see me in 2026 in a wrestling ring somewhere. Now, the reason why I'm starting off with this is because I wanted to really make it known that tonight's show wasn't bad, but tonight's show didn't do anything to get you excited about what the new year is going to bring WWE. And next week's show looks more of the same, just with bigger hype and a bigger stage, being that it's in Brooklyn, in New York City, at the Barclays Center. But the one thing I really want to focus on is the fact that last year, January 6th, we got the WWE debut on Netflix. And now we're celebrating a 1-year anniversary next week. They need to fix what they didn't do last year in several different areas of their creative department. Jericho's not going to be the answer to everybody's fucking problems with WWE. He's 55 years old. The return's going to be great. The pop is going to be great. Seeing him back home is going to be great. But it's going to die very quickly. We also don't know how he's going to be used. The reason why I talk about this now is because if it is the plan to debut him on Monday night next week, could Jericho be revealed as the new leader of the Vision? If CM Punk is going to lose the championship, how is he going to lose the championship? Is Bron Breakker going to beat him clean? Every situation you think about, something like next week's title match, the outcome is not the only thing you have to think about. You have to think about where it's going to take both Bron Breakker and CM Punk. Could Jericho be revealed as the true leader of the division? I've heard several people say, well, Austin Theory was the masked man. But who's stopping them from revealing yet another masked man? Who's to say there was only one masked man? The other narrative is that Austin Theory is working as a sleeper cell inside the division, and he's secretly working for Seth Rollins, who's out injured. Could be. I just don't think Triple H and his writing team are that creative to do something that risky, or something that out of the box, or something that fun. Could Jericho be revealed as the leader of the division? Now, this would basically be a more adult-like version of what he did in AEW with the Learning Tree, which was fucking awful. Every bit of it was awful. He made no new stars in the division. Brian Keith is a waste. Big Bill is a waste. Love Big Bill, but it's a waste. He did absolutely nothing for anybody. Not a single fucking thing. He helped talent in the early days of AEW. But ultimately, you look back at everything that Jericho was a part of on AEW television, and I don't really think anybody that he was on television with or anybody he was in a faction with is better off for it now. They're either off television indefinitely for one reason or another, or they're not there anymore. Jericho's influence was basically, let's get this mainstream name that everybody knows, somebody that was synonymous with the network that they're on, someone who's a Hall of Famer who can still very much go and has name recognition, give him the AEW championship and let him carry our company for the first year of existence. Sounds like a pretty big fucking deal to me. Without Jericho, there is no AEW. Which is why I don't really understand all the fucking negativity about him leaving. Oh, we don't need him. Oh, he's old. Oh, there's nothing more he can do on television. Blah, 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 blah. I'll get to that in a second. But what if Jericho is the leader of the vision? And what if Jericho is the one to either A, cost Punk the championship, or B, Punk retains and Jericho is the surprise at the end of the show? Am I clamoring for a Jericho versus CM Punk match? No. But Jericho leading something like the Vision, sliding in there for someone like Seth Rollins, where it could absolutely work itself out to be Jericho versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. He's initially going to come back and get that major babyface reaction, but who gives a shit? It'll be great, then he attacks CM Punk, and then all is right in the world. I could absolutely see that being the case. Otherwise, what is Jericho going to do coming back to the WWE? Everybody's like, oh yeah, we'll just feud him with LA Knight. That sounds great and all, but I don't really think that is exciting for Chris Jericho upon return. Jericho's the type of guy that wants to make an immediate splash. Jericho's also the type of guy that he's coming in, he wants to make a immediate impact, and he doesn't want to be kind of delegated to being like, I don't know, mid-card. It's going to be a pretty big deal. Jericho, upon day one back in the WWE, is going to hold a lot of name value. He'll be right under the CM Punks and the Roman Reigns on Monday night. It's not going to be in a fucking middle-of-the-road mid-card feud with LA Knight out of nowhere. Could they save him for the Royal Rumble? Absolutely. But if they got him, why not bring him to television? Having him show up in the Rumble to do what exactly? Last 20 minutes and then get eliminated and then goodbye. I think coming over from AEW, Jericho being one of the true pillars of the company, I think WWE is going to want to make a bigger splash than him coming on in and making his return and feuding with fucking LA Knight. I think WWE is going to want to throw it in AEW's face, just like they did with Cody and just like they did with CM Punk. Jericho is probably going to end up being something WWE uses to get their pettiness out of the system. Again, it's a possibility. And again, WWE needs to go off the air next week with a big bomb. Not just a world title change. We'll see you next week. What happens to Bron Breakker after that? Where does Bron Breakker go now that he's the World Heavyweight Champion? CM Punk, if he beats Bron Breakker, what happens? Where does he go? Who does he feud with next? If he loses the championship, where does he go? Who does he feud with next? Does he go into the Rumble? Does he focus on the other championship that he wants? Maybe focuses on Cody? All I'm saying is WWE's got Jericho. Soon as January 1st hits, why not? Why not? You know, the Jericho discussion really pissed me off because a lot of people are just so fucking stupid to see the fact that Jericho is so much more valuable than what he just does on television. You know, the cracks in AEW have already begun to form, and they're just getting bigger and bigger as the fucking weeks and months and years go by. The cracks already started to show when Cody and CM Punk left. The cracks only grow bigger every time Cody and CM Punk are on television, especially together. There are cracks in the AEW infrastructure that cannot be repaired. Losing Cody and CM Punk are going to haunt AEW for the rest of their days. And if you think AEW is better now without them, you're a fucking fool. AEW had one of the worst years creatively that I've ever seen. And if you watch what we do on Wednesday nights and you listen to everything we say on Wednesday nights, it's not grifting. It's not hate. We don't hate watch. I did this same thing with Vince McMahon, and now Tony Khan is feeling the wrath, and if you think Tony Khan is going to escape my fucking wrath and everything that I have to say, now that I'm a better creator, I'm a better analyst, I'm a better this, I'm a better that, I'm a better everything than I was 5 years ago when I was doing this same thing to Vince McMahon. If you think I'm going to give them a fucking bye, if you think I'm going to give them a pass, you're a complete fucking idiot. Who do you think you're watching? I do it out of the love of the sport. I do it out of the love of professional wrestling. I do it out of the love because I want a better product. Nobody listens when I speak. I'm the most misinformed and misunderstood fucking guy in this entire space. Nobody listens to me when I speak. All you think is he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, and then nobody listens to anything I have to say. Everything is taken out of context, and you mix my words up into a point to fit your own narrative, and then you spew whatever the fucking narrative is that you think I'm about. No, that's not the case. Chris Jericho leaving AEW is a huge blow. That's one less 30-year veteran that Tony Khan does not have. And Tony Khan is under a lot of fire already because he blatantly went out on Ariel Helwani's podcast and said word for word verbatim, he lets his talent do whatever the fuck they want. There's only some instances where he'll get involved and he'll say no. And he mentioned Darby Allin jumping off a ladder through glass during Sting's retirement match that gave him any hesitations at all. But he let him do it. Tony Khan basically admitted that he lets his roster run wild and do whatever the fuck they want. So Tony's not a real leader. Tony's not a real boss. He leaves it in the hands of the talent, and he leaves it in the hands of the producers, if they even have any, or agents, if they even have any. And then what you see on Dynamite and what you see on the pay-per-views is a product of the fucking people who are in the match. And they do what they want. Tony picks the winners and the losers, and he's managing his E-Fed, and then he goes to the fucking post-show media scrum, and he gives some half-ass fucking answer by some fucking media hack, and he doesn't answer anything. Jericho leaving the company signals what? Jericho leaving the company is a blow, in my eyes, to AEW because Jericho looks at the company, Jericho looks at the leadership, and Jericho looks at everything that AEW has become now in year 6 as opposed to when he was first there. And it signals to him things have changed. This is not the same place that I entered during year 1. And there's nothing more than I can do to convince anybody to fix the fucking place and fix the mistakes that are happening here. Meanwhile, Tony Khan will go out there and say, yeah, I want Chris Jericho back. I'm happy to have Chris Jericho back. Hopefully we can work something out. I'd love to have him back in AEW. I'd love to keep him back in AEW. Motherfucker, you don't want Chris Jericho back in AEW because you've already told Chris Jericho, no matter what you do or what you say, you're not going to change my mind. This is my company, and I'm going to run it the way that I fucking want to run it. Tony Khan is not listening to anybody. He's not. If Tony Khan listened to anybody, things would have already changed. And things have only gotten worse. Jericho is basically telling you without telling you that I need to get the fuck out of here and I don't want to be here anymore. If Jericho thought that AEW was worth saving, or if he thought he could make a change to help the ecosystem in AEW, he would stay. Chris Jericho's creative was fucking awful the last 2 years of television on AEW. Awful. Do you want to know why? Because nobody told him no. Nobody told him no. There's no ecosystem. There is no structure in AEW. Meanwhile, Jericho gave us some of the worst fucking creative that he's ever had in 30 years, the last 2 years on AEW television, because the guy at the fucking top, the guy in charge, didn't tell him no. So if Jericho has that sort of freedom and is able to go out there and give us whatever the fuck he's thinking, whatever he's feeling, it was a product of Chris Jericho. And Tony could have done anything to stop it. Jericho going to WWE, he's not going to be able to get away with that shit. Bruce Pritchard, Michael Hayes, William Regal, everybody else on that fucking writing team and on that management staff is going to sit Chris Jericho down, and I'm sure he'll have his own ideas, and I'm sure he'll get some of what he wants. But now he's working with an actual professional team. No matter what you think of how bad they were this year, they still are the best at what they do. Especially if we're comparing both companies. Jericho's not going to be able to go out there and do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Jericho is going to be contained. Some of Jericho's ideas will float around out there, but most of it will be from the vision of WWE Creative, from Triple H, from Michael Hayes, from William Regal, from everybody on that writing team. Jericho was running wild with shit creative and nobody to tell him no. At least Jericho coming on into WWE, he will be contained, and what we get is going to be a mix of what he wants and what WWE thinks is best for Chris Jericho. So why did Chris Jericho fail in the eyes of the sickos? Because Tony Khan didn't tell him no. Tony Khan is not a creative guy. Tony Khan is not a leader. Tony Khan is not a creative anything. Tony Khan is a fantasy matchmaker. He respects all the veterans so much that he sits by and just wants to be friends with them and wants to drink his White Claw with them at the end of the show. He can't tell them no. He doesn't tell Jericho no. He doesn't tell Moxley no. He doesn't tell Edge no. He doesn't tell MJF no. He doesn't tell anybody no. He lets everybody do what they want to do, and if he really feels strongly about a creative decision, whether it's a win or a loss, he'll fucking interject himself. The guy can't even book a fucking show the right way. Look at the show on Wednesday night. It is ass backwards. The format of the show, the way the show is run, the way the show sounds, the way the show feels. It's an indie mindset. It's the minor leagues. And if Jericho thought AEW was worth being in, Jericho would be there to help the company into year 7, 8, 9, and 10. And get paid. If he wants to get paid, I'm sure Tony would fucking pay him a boatload to keep him there. But Jericho realizes AEW can't be saved. It's not worth saving. The talent there don't want to listen to anybody. So I'm going to go make my money in WWE. I'm going to retire in WWE. And AEW is going to be without Chris Jericho. That is a 30-year veteran with 30 years of experience just walking out of the company. That is a pillar of the company walking out. That is your first ever world champion walking out of the company. Yet all you want to think is that Jericho's value only exists by what you see on television. Jericho will then go to NXT. He will be at the Performance Center. He'll be teaching. He'll be molding. He'll be guiding. He'll be spreading his knowledge to all of the young people that want to enter the WWE and become a professional wrestler. And how many more people will be better off for it? How many people in AEW are going to be better off with Chris Jericho leaving the company? Zero. And this won't be the last. Mark my words, this will not be the last. Cody left. Punk got fired, and everybody thought, he's not going back to WWE? Yeah, what happened? Punk is one of the best things on television every single week, and your top guy walked out of the company to go walk back into WWE when people didn't give it a fucking shot in the dark of happening. And the highest rated Dynamite last year, and the highest rated Dynamite maybe of the last 3 years, came with that guy on your television show in a closed circuit footage from Wembley Stadium with Jack Perry. Dynamite hasn't even come close at all to achieving that rating since. And since that episode, they lost 35 to 40% of their audience in both the overall viewership and the demo. But they're the promotion of the year, says fucking Shill Alba. Jericho leaving creates this illusion that, he's old. He's off television. We don't need him. Gee, if Jericho wanted to come work for me with 30 years of experience, why the fuck would anybody tell him no? Oh, but Jericho wants to retire. He wants to go to WWE. Oh, his footage is there, JD. That's great. That's fantastic. If Jericho felt AEW could be saved, Jericho would want to be in AEW. Point blank, period. The fact that he's walking away should speak volumes about what the ecosystem and what everybody feels about AEW. And like I said, he's not going to be the last. You think Mercedes is going to be in AEW for the rest of her career? You are a fucking fool if you think Mercedes is going to retire in AEW. Sasha Banks will be back on your television within the next 5 years. MJF is certainly on his way out the door. You think that man's going to fucking work the indies for the rest of his career? Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. They're going to be, how long is it going to be until Copeland retires? He's going to be on his way out the door. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back in WWE and retires promptly in WWE. Bobby Lashley, how long do you think he's going to last? All these names, mind, your ex-WWE names that did absolutely nothing to garner interest. So when you want to point the finger of blame of Jericho or at Chris Jericho for his lack of fucking whatever he did on television, you should look at the existing WWE Hall of Famers that are on television that are in storylines right now that did nothing to generate interest for AEW Dynamite or AEW Collision. I don't really understand how everybody's looking at this as, it's a good thing. We don't need him. WWE is going to give Chris Jericho a platform. WWE is going to give Chris Jericho a great run. WWE is going to give Chris Jericho a podcast home on Fanatics or Netflix or wherever the fuck they're going to land their podcast partnership with. Sure, Chris Jericho is fucking cozied up to some Hollywood agent. I'm sure he'll be in fucking TV shows and movies. I'm sure Fozzie's going to continue. Jericho's cruise is going to continue. Jericho's going to be able to continue to do what he does now with WWE. And he's going to be a bigger star for it than he ever was in AEW. At 55 years old. And he's going to get a retirement run, which, after seeing John Cena, I'm not really sure exactly where that's going to land Chris Jericho. I don't know. If Jericho walked out of my fucking company with the value that he brings away from the television screen, I'd be fucking upset. Meanwhile, everybody's celebrating this like it's, we don't need him. We don't need him. Who exactly do you have on television that's actually a star? That's what I want to know. You think Swerve's a star? Swerve's not a star. You think Will Ospreay's a fucking star? Will Ospreay's not a star. Danny Garcia? Jon Moxley? All this Jon Moxley glazing the last 72 hours coming out of World's End. Like the guy didn't fucking kill your television show for the last 12 months. With a dog shit angle and stable and storyline. No, but Jericho is the problem. Jericho on his way out. We don't need him. We don't need him. You brought in the biggest and best women's wrestler on the fucking planet, and she hasn't made a dent in the fucking ratings in a positive way. In fact, she's driven away viewers every time she's on television. So what exactly do you think Chris Jericho walking away from AEW is doing in a positive way? I'd love for someone to please tell me exactly why you're celebrating such a maneuver. Cody, Punk, and Jericho. So not only do they got the guy who started the fucking place, now they got their world champion, and they also got their biggest star. What else needs to happen to get it through your thick skulls that AEW is fucking sinking faster than the fucking Titanic? Do we need the Young Bucks to eventually walk into AEW, away from AEW and into WWE? Do you think they're going to be there forever? How much more do you think they can do? This needed to be said. Everything that I said here needed to be said. You don't like it? Tough shit. I'm looking forward to Chris Jericho. And has nothing to do with me shitting on his AEW creative, because everybody knows his fucking AEW creative in the learning tree was fucking awful. That's not the gotcha moment you think it is. Everything that stable gave us, the segments, the fucking gimmick, it was awful. But Jericho was allowed to do what Jericho wanted to do with nobody to tell him no. He's not going to be allowed to get away with that in WWE because there's real leadership in WWE, not some fucking E-Fed fantasy matchmaker running the show. They need to go off the air next week with a big bang. Is Jericho that big bang? I don't know. But I would absolutely explore that opportunity if it is presented. Because WWE needs to... They need to do something that's going to get people talking immediately. There's nothing but bad stigma around WWE right now. Nothing. Creative is down. It's not really exciting. It's not really unpredictable. It's very much predictable. Storyline. What's the biggest storyline in the company? You can't really focus on one thing. It's the vision. Is it really something that's generating interest on a week-to-week basis? No. No, they need to do something. With the WWE taking the Rumble into Saudi, it's not really sitting well with a lot of people as well. The Saudi Rumble isn't really generating the excitement of previous Rumbles. They need to do something big. We'll see if Jericho is actually that. We'll talk the Usos. They won the tag team championships tonight. The only question I have is, how does anybody expect the division to change when basically we just crowned new champions and we're in the same position before tonight's title change happened? Because that's the only thing I'm thinking about. Stephanie Vaquer defended the Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez and Nikki Bella. And Bron Breakker, CM Punk had a tremendous opening segment, which we will very much go over today. This is your Monday Night Raw Post Show for December 29th, 2025. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Don't check out all the content on the channel. We were live on Saturday night, deep into the early Sunday morning. Didn't get to bed till 4:30. We covered World's End, nearing 35,000 views on the World's End post show. So go check that out. Man, I have a hate boner for AEW, but everybody loves my AEW content. I mean, we're the number one AEW watch live stream every fucking week. I mean, make that make sense. Doesn't work that way if I was terrible at my job. Go check that out. Tomorrow night, the last stream of the year, TNT. Tuesday Night Titans and the 2025 Best of the Best of the Best year-end awards, the final episode of the year. Jason and I will be going over the winners and losers of 2025, our favorite match of 2025, amongst other categories that we will be talking about tomorrow night on Tuesday Night Titans, episode 127. Join us. Should be a very, very, very good debate. Should be fun. I will not be live for Dynamite because looking at the ticket sales for their show in, where are they, Oklahoma or Nebraska? Can you imagine being an AEW talent and celebrating New Year's in fucking Oklahoma? They don't even have 2,000 tickets out the door on New Year's Eve for their New Year's Smash show. I will not be covering the show. I'll watch it Thursday. I'm not sitting here. I'm not watching Dynamite. I'm not. I'll be over the family's house, having a cold beverage. I'll monitor the happenings on my phone. I'll watch it when I can on Thursday, and then we'll talk about it when we talk about it. Not spending my fucking New Year's celebrating the ball dropping, watching fucking Ricochet and Jungle Jack for the national championship. Sorry. I'll see you guys for Friday Night SmackDown when we unfortunately return to 3 hours on Friday night. We got some changes happening in 2026. We're going to try and do some updates to the graphics that you see on the screen. I'm going to have DV8 update them for 2026. I want to start fresh. And you guys know the goal. 2026, we're back to doing wrestling commentary for a indie promotion because it's one of my real passions. And busted open somewhere in the distance. Somewhere, somehow, some way, I got to get Dave LaGreca on the phone and talk business. It's time. Omaha. Can you imagine celebrating New Year's Eve in Omaha? Holy fucking shit. That sounds as depressing as anything I've ever heard in my entire life. So yeah, a couple of changes next year happening. Some of those changes will happen immediately. And we will try and make 2026 the biggest year ever. Because this year was bigger and better than 2024. By a long shot. By a lot. And next year, we're just going to keep that ball rolling. So thank you guys very much. Super chats are open. Get them on and we'll hang out at the end of the show. And please check out my sponsor for tonight's show, Blue Chew Gold. BlueChew.com, code JD, 10% off your first purchase of Blue Chew Gold tonight. Sponsored by Blue Chew right here on Off the Script. Monday Night Raw, we start things off. It's nice to be live again. They were live from the Kia Center in Orlando, Florida, which is great because most of the talent, I assume, lives in Florida and lives in Orlando. So we start things off with the Vision. They were promoted as opening the show. We got a video recap of Austin Theory explaining himself to Paul Heyman last week, including why he wore a mask and how the Vision inspired him to start taking what he wants. They aired clips of Theory's role in the main event tag team match last week. We saw everybody come into the building, including Rey Mysterio, the Usos, Stephanie Vaquer, and Joe Tessitore, who's moving back to Friday nights with Wade Barrett in the new year. As soon as college football is over, Joe Tess and Wade Barrett are moving back to Friday night, and Michael Cole and Corey Graves will resume their duties on Monday Night Raw. I'm assuming that'll happen next week. Joe Tess ran down the scheduled matches. They cut to Paul Heyman, Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory. Theory seemingly passed his audition last week, and he is now officially a part of the Vision. So they come to the ring with Bron Breakker's music playing. Fans are chanting loudly for CM Punk. Before Heyman could even get into the promo, he says, "This is the moment that 5 years from now fans will look back on as defining the WrestleMania main eventers of that era." Fans chanted OTC, OTC. They were switching between that and CM Punk chants. He thanked the fans for their most irrelevant opinion, which is a shoot because everybody that works for these companies, they feel like the fans have an irrelevant opinion. The critics have an irrelevant opinion. Meanwhile, I got half the fucking locker room fucking dangling from my nutsack. Not the WWE locker room, the AEW locker room. But my opinion's irrelevant, but they can't ever keep my name out of their fucking mouth. And they got me on T-shirts and this and that. And my opinion didn't mean much. If anything, then nobody would be fucking spreading my opinion around. And nobody would care about what I have to say. But they very much do. So that was a shoot. If you're a professional wrestler or work for a company like AEW or WWE, you very much think our opinions, me and everybody else that's a fan, that we're marks and we're irrelevant and that you know better and we don't know shit. But in this case, Paul Heyman's probably smarter than most of the business anyway, so is it really a shoot? He said the rumors are true. The newest member of the Vision is Austin Theory. He then turned to Theory and said, "Earn your keep, young man. They are all yours." He handed the mic to Theory. Theory's out there, and I'm a Theory fan. Personally, I'm a Theory fan. I think he's got a great look. I think he's well than average, above average in the ring. I think what he does is smooth. He's very good at what he does. But I'm already getting a sense that the fans have already given him the label of, "Please go away. We don't look at you as a star. We don't really give a shit about Austin Theory." That's the vibe I was getting tonight. Now, I know it's only been 2 weeks, but I hope that it doesn't feel worse as we move on into the new year. Theory says he has waited his entire life for this and worked his entire life for this moment. He says he has a lot of things he wanted to talk about. He pointed at Bron Breakker and said he is the next world champion. Theory invited Heyman to remind him of their policy. Heyman said the goals of the Vision outweigh the individual needs of any athlete inside the group. So by the end of this, Austin Theory said nothing. He was given time on a microphone for about 30 seconds, put over Bron Breakker as the next world heavyweight champion, and then had Paul Heyman read through his mission statement for the group. Because then, out comes CM Punk. He walks out onto the stage. Music died down. He addresses Theory first. He told Theory he's apparently spitting on it and doing tricks on it already. I guess he's been reading the Kenny Omega handbook, CM Punk. It's basically what Kenny Omega told Gail Kim. He basically called Gail Kim a whore and said she jumped on dick for a WWE gift basket. Sure. Anything to rile up the sickos. Theory is apparently drinking the Kool-Aid full on. He says he's not there to talk to him, though. He said, one of them in the group must have a brain. He says he's talking to Heyman. He said Breakker already has his title match scheduled, but there won't be if he keeps getting speared. He says he likes to look at a man in the eyes before he puts him to sleep. So he wanted to talk to Bron Breakker man to man, and he urged everyone else in the ring to leave so he can clear the air with Breakker face to face. He gets in the ring. He told Breakker he seems to have a big mouth when he's not there. Are you scared, little doggy? Breakker said the only one who is scared is Punk. He invited him to the ring and said they wouldn't hurt him. So the Vision, except for Bron Breakker, standing outside the ring. Breakker's inside the ring. Fans are chanting for CM Punk. He stepped up to Breakker's face and asked, "What do you got, kid?" Breakker asked, "Why are they standing here and why does the Vision exist?" He says they're here because they look at things through the same lens. He said, Reed is the tribal thief and the most feared man who walks the halls in the back. He said Logan Paul is the biggest superstar in the entire world. He said Theory is a man with everything to prove. He says he's going to be the next world heavyweight champion. He went on to say he's so tired of Punk and everyone else saying one day he'll main event every show and figure it out. "I'm not the future. I am the now," says Bron Breakker, which is very much true. Stop saying Bron Breakker is the future. Bron Breakker should be the now. Just like a Javon Evans when he gets called up and an Obafemi when he gets called up. Stop thinking about the future. When they get to the main roster, they are the now. The youth movement needs to be a priority now in 2026. He said Punk has the audacity to say he's just a new shiny toy, and the moment he fails at a big moment under the bright lights, they'll drop him and move on to the next thing. He asked him to go find someone in the back like him who can do what he does, who came there with less than a year's experience and took the business over, who is as committed as him, who was born into the industry more than him, someone who is more of a dog than him. And the crowd went, "Ho, ho," barking at Bron Breakker. Breakker said maybe Punk thinks he hasn't paid his dues and that he's had everything handed to him because of his lineage. He says that's wrong. He says every single thing he has done in his life has been under a microscope, and I've had to live up to a higher standard than you could ever imagine and do things at the highest possible levels. He says he didn't pay his dues on the indies, but he shared the field with Lamar Jackson, so we are not the same. He told Punk they are both willing to die on January 5th for the World Heavyweight Championship. He says he's going to put Punk in the ground, beat him, and become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Punk said Breakker's first mistake was assuming what he thinks about him. Punk said Breakker is more ready than anyone he's seen, anyone in the back, and anyone in the Vision. He said Punk himself is not ready. He dropped the belt in front of him and said, that championship is heavier than he realizes. It's a privilege to carry the strap, and he's not ready to stop being champion. He said Breakker is big, tough, strong, and fast, but he's right that they're not the same. He said someday he'll wake up, and it'll be the end of the road, but it's not on January 5th. He said someday someone will beat him for it, but it won't be on January 5th. Breakker, he was angry. He got in Punk's face. Punk smiled back at Breakker, and that concluded this segment. This was a great sell. Out of the recent championship matches that we've seen, we didn't even get this with Punk and Gunther. Punk won a fatal four-way, and then he went to SummerSlam, and they had one face-to-face, and that was it. Nothing really worth talking about. Nothing really materialized out of that. It was all about Seth Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase off of a fake injury. The last time we got any dialogue about the World Heavyweight Championship, it wasn't even for the championship. It was more of a personal issue between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. So if you exclude that, which wasn't really for the championship, it was more Rollins needed to prove to everybody that he could beat Cody, who beat him 3 previous times. The last time we got anything regarding the World Heavyweight Championship in a segment like this, you'd probably have to go all the way back to Gunther and Jey Uso. And that really wasn't much to talk about either. This was the first time we really got a solid sell for the World Heavyweight Championship. CM Punk is a great promo. How he won, or how, by the way, he didn't win. How Tony Storm won from anybody's fucking accolades or awards. Tony Storm won promo of the year over CM Punk. Bro, Punk on his worst day is better than the entire industry. Punk was great here. I thought Bron Breakker was better. Now, Bron Breakker, if you guys watched carefully with the microscope, Bron Breakker was shaking. He had the microphone in his right hand and he was shaking. Now, I don't know if that was shaking because he was nervous about not fucking up the promo. I'm not sure if he was nervous because he was cutting a promo like this in front of CM Punk, whereas the last 2 times he did it, 3 times he did it twice in the ring without Punk, with the vision only, and then they gave him a backstage vignette that was pre-taped. This was the first time he was actually in the ring with Punk, cutting a promo face-to-face with the champion himself. Was it nerves because of that? Or was it because he's Bron Breakker, he's the fucking nastiest dog in the yard, and he was angry? He was so angry, he was shaking. What was it? Could be any one of those things. I thought Bron Breakker out-promoed CM Punk here. CM Punk basically reiterated what he told Cody before Cody won the World Championship. You want this so badly. You want this World Championship so badly. You and I both know what it does. It's like the fucking ring from Lord of the Rings before Frodo dropped it in Mount Doom. You know the burden that you carry when you hold it, when you wear it. Frodo didn't know. When Frodo realized what it was when he put the ring on, he didn't want to let it go. Like, it consumes you. He basically reiterated that to Bron Breakker, but not in the same way that he delivered it to Cody Rhodes. After this promo tonight, it would be weird for Bron Breakker to say all this cool shit, to say all this rough and tough shit to CM Punk, and then lose next week. He's got the vision with him. I don't know what WWE's planning. I don't. God forbid we get a fucking clean finish. You know, they're afraid of that. I'm assuming WWE is going to give us some sort of no contest or a DQ, run the match back at either the Rumble or Saturday night's main event before the Rumble. I don't know how Bron Breakker cuts this promo tonight and then goes into next week and loses to CM Punk. That would make Bron Breakker look like a complete fucking geek. A geek. And we don't need to be making Bron Breakker into a geek. This is why I said, how do they go off the air? You have 3 options here. CM Punk wins the championship due to help. Who that help is, I don't know. It could be Rey Mysterio. It could be returning LA Knight. We don't know. We don't know. Could be somebody that shows up and is a new addition to the roster. We have no idea. CM Punk going off the air, retaining the championship. Boring and safe. So I'm sure WWE is already thinking that. I don't think Bron Breakker losing next week is a good idea. Especially clean. I'm sure there'll be some shenanigans. Does Bron Breakker win the championship next week? Do we get a new World Heavyweight Champion? That depends. What does WWE do with Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes? Because they're wrestling on January 9th in Berlin, Germany. They already announced a 3 stages of hell match between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. I think WWE should belt Drew McIntyre. I pray to God that they didn't make this stipulation because this was the last-ditch effort for WWE to make a stipulation that they could actually have Drew McIntyre win a fall-in. That would be awful. Can you imagine WWE giving us a gimmick that they've only done 5 of in their history? 6 of in their history? Just because they wanted McIntyre to get a visual pinfall over Cody Rhodes without actually winning the championship and give Cody Rhodes the win in the end, retaining the championship? That would be utterly ridiculous. I immediately called that out as soon as that match was announced. If Drew McIntyre wins the World Championship, the WWE Championship, then Bron Breakker is not winning the champion. I just don't see WWE changing two of their biggest championships in the same week. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. And if I had to choose one or the other, I'm going Drew and not Bron. I think Drew deserves it more. They could run the Bron Breakker CM Punk match back, whether it's Saturday night's main event, the Rumble, or maybe we take it into WrestleMania. I don't think Bron is going to win the championship and everything is going to just reset with Bron Breakker, the new young kid, as the world heavyweight champion. That's too easy. Or is Chris Jericho going to show up, and is Chris Jericho going to integrate himself into the Vision's plans? And the reason why I like Chris Jericho is because I do believe when the reports were coming out about what had happened with CM Punk and the disagreements with the Elites and Adam Page and Kenny Omega, and everybody wanted to hopefully get on the same page and maybe do business, I think Jericho was at the forefront of those talks, mediating, trying to get everybody involved, being that Jericho had a lot of political pull backstage. He tried to get everybody involved. And he wanted Punk on an equal playing field. He wanted Punk in the company. He realized that with Punk there, business would be better with Punk there. Doing business with Punk is better than no business with Punk. I think Jericho even threw his name into the hat of taking Jericho away from all this nonsense and feuding with him instead of feuding with the Elite. So if those were true, if that actually happened, and they just take a page out of what we saw then, and Jericho comes and focuses on CM Punk, they have a written storyline there with the history between those two guys. They have backstage history in AEW that they could bring to light in the most subtle of ways. And they have history in WWE together. I think that would be, at least as far as the promo work back and forth, I think the promo work would be fucking better than whatever they produce in the ring. But again, I don't really sit here clamoring to see Punk versus Jericho in a top-tier program on Monday night. Jericho could easily come in, lead the Vision. Rollins comes back. He sees Jericho running his group the way that he thought he'd be running his group, and Jericho just took over the fucking operation, and it's Rollins and Jericho at WrestleMania. And Punk has nothing to do with it. But the Vision, I'll tell you what, man. You know, I don't know how anybody else thinks about the Vision. Is the Vision like, do you look at the Vision as like, oh my God, this is the group? Do we ever get a mission statement from the Vision? Well, like, what is the Vision's mission? Is the Vision on Monday night any more of a threat now than they were under the leadership of Rollins? Does Monday Night Raw feel threatened? Paul Heyman leading the Vision is great. Paul Heyman speaking for the Vision about how they're the future of the company and how this is the youth is great. But having Jericho come on in, lead the Vision, I think that says a lot about what Jericho feels is the vision of the WWE as well, adding that presence of 30 years into the group. I'm not saying I absolutely want this, but if they want to make the group feel bigger, it's got to be more than just Paul Heyman. It's got to be more than Bron Breakker and Austin Theory and Logan Paul and Bronson Reed. Again, this is just an idea. The one thing I do like about this match is the fact that it's unpredictable. I don't know what they're going to do. All I hope is that they give us something substantial that leaves us talking after it's over. Whether it's Jericho joining the Vision, Bron Breakker winning the championship because of some shenanigans, then the question remains is what happens to Bron Breakker? Where does he go from here? Does he wrestle Punk again? What happens to Punk? What does he do after he loses the championship? If he retains, what does he do? It just looks weird to me if Bron Breakker cuts this type of promo and then loses. He backs up nothing he said. And we should not be in the business of having Bron Breakker cut these great promos in front of Punk of all people, and then go into a match where he said all this cool shit, all this legit shit, and then lose. How does that make him look? You don't want to diminish that type of aura. You don't want to diminish that type of character in the eyes of the fans. You don't. That's the worst decision. From this point on, you need to be building layer by layer, piece by piece, Bron Breakker. Having him lose, you shed some of that and you take that away. And it's only going to be more difficult to build that back up and add that layer again after the fact. What do you guys think is the best course of action here? What do you think is the best course of action here? Is it Jericho? Is it CM Punk winning clean with help from friends? Wouldn't be clean, but you know what I mean. Retaining? Or is it Bron Breakker? Bron Breakker winning. I like the aspect of Bron Breakker winning, but then you think about Cody and Drew, and I just don't see WWE changing two of their world champions in the same week. So it's a little difficult for me to sit there and say they would do that. Additionally, I just want to finally say here, I think Bron Breakker has proved that he can speak with a microphone in his hand, and I honestly think that working with CM Punk has taken Bron Breakker to the next level as far as that aspect of his work. I think the match is going to be really good. I think CM Punk has brought out the best right now in Bron Breakker. It's so easy to work with someone who is so good at what they do. It just makes you better. And Bron Breakker has proved that he has been better working with CM Punk. Again, this is what I talked about in the open with Jericho. Everybody thinks that Jericho adds no value to television. Everybody thinks that it all stops, the buck stops here with Jericho on television, and that he doesn't do anything in a positive way working with said company. When Jericho is on TV and he works with someone the likes of a Ricky Saints or an LA Knight or this or that, Jericho is by default going to make them better just by working with them. You see it firsthand with CM Punk. And if you don't think Jericho's going to do that in this element, then you are a complete fucking fool. And I very much look forward to seeing that happen. So yes, I do find value in the likes of someone like CM Punk when he works with someone like Bron Breakker, and I do think that he has elevated Bron Breakker. And if you don't think so, I think you're going to need to go get your fucking eyes checked. Or maybe your ears cleaned out, because what Bron Breakker has done on the microphone the last 3 or 4 weeks has been great work. Backstage, Jackie Redmond interviewed Raquel Rodriguez. She was asked about the chaos in the Judgment Day lately. Raquel said nothing will get in her way. Liv Morgan, JD McDonough is out. Dominic Mysterio is out. Judgment Day needs her to take care of business tonight, she tells Raquel Rodriguez. So they basically confirm that Dominic Mysterio is out indefinitely. He's injured. Something with his shoulder. Triple A show happened with his father in the ring. His father delivered a DDT. Apparently, it was more serious than they realized. Hopefully not too serious. Raquel said she can handle this alone tonight. Roxanne Perez then walked up to them. Liv said Roxanne knows they all want the same thing. Perez wished her luck and said, last week is water under the bridge. Raquel said she doesn't need luck and left. Liv pet Roxanne Perez as Raquel walked away. So I know a lot of people were making this out to be, well, Liv and Roxanne fucked over Raquel last week and caused, or what was it? It was Roxanne. Roxanne was in the ring with Bayley. And Liv Morgan and everybody was out there causing this distraction. Apparently, the Judgment Day, the ladies of the Judgment Day, the ladies of the night, out there, and they fucked things up for Roxanne Perez, and Bayley beat Roxanne Perez. Apparently, there was some tension brewing in the Judgment Day. A lot of people thought that this would carry over into this week's match for the World Heavyweight Championship, and this would further the tensions between the ladies of the Judgment Day. So that was one thing I was going to look forward to seeing. That was one thing I was going to keep my eye on. It looks like Liv Morgan is getting very chummy with Roxanne Perez. Women's World Championship, Nikki Bella, Raquel Rodriguez, and Stephanie Vaquer. This was a Women's World Heavyweight Championship triple threat match. Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. So, I know a lot of people were looking at Nikki Bella just turning heel and cutting that promo last week, and they were thinking, well, they need to make sense of the heel turn and have Nikki Bella win to kind of make sense of why she turned heel. Because if she just turned heel, cuts this promo and shits on the fans, and she wants to make everything about herself and why she deserves this and why she deserves that and why she's the legend, turn heel, and then not win the championship, what good is it doing Nikki Bella? We talked about this on TNT where Silent Monster said he had a sneaking suspicion that Nikki Bella was going to walk away the Women's World Heavyweight Champion. I laughed and I said, I hope to God that you just didn't put that out there in the universe and then it actually come to fruition. Thank God he was wrong. So, we'll pick it up here with Nikki Bella. She's in the ring with Stephanie. Rodriguez is throwing them around. Bella was taken out by Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie fought back with a headbutt. Rodriguez immediately came back and put her in a twisting wrist lock before throwing her to the mat. Dropped an elbow. Raquel goes for a cover. She gets a 2. Nikki Bella leapt off the top turnbuckle. Rodriguez caught her and threw her aside in a fallaway slam. She grabbed Vaquer and put her in a gory special, trying to make her tap. Stephanie was able to keep the submission hold intact here, reversed it into a sunset pin, but Bella broke up the cover. Stephanie took control, went for a devil's kiss on Nikki. Rodriguez broke it up and sent Nikki to the outside. Stephanie tried to go up top, but Nikki pulled her off, ripped Rodriguez's leg out from underneath her. Bella then locked an STF on Raquel, and apparently the crowd started to chant, "Thank you, Cena. Thank you, Cena." And Nikki Bella started yelling back at them, saying, "No, thank me, thank me. Thank you, Cena. Thank you, Cena." So, after the STF, Rodriguez powered out, reversed it into a leg lock. Stephanie flipped both of them over and delivered a double devil's kiss to both Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. That's all anybody waits for in a Stephanie match, the devil's kiss. I'd actually have Stephanie not do the devil's kiss. It's actually so played out, I don't even care to see it anymore. I don't know how you guys feel, but she then put them both in opposite corners for dueling meteoras. She then hits a dragon screw on Nikki Bella, which always looks brutal, and then twisted Rodriguez's knee as well with a dragon screw. Bella slipped to the outside and tripped Vaquer on the apron. Rodriguez knocked them both to the outside. Rodriguez bounced Bella's head off the announce table and tried for a pin on Stephanie in the ring. Stephanie kicks out. Raquel came back with a lariat. She exits the ring again to make sure Bella wasn't an issue by dropping her face first on the ring apron, so she took her out again. She tossed her back in the ring, but Bella kicked her off before she could make a pin. Rodriguez was still in control. Hits a twisting Vader bomb on Nikki Bella. She then went back to Stephanie in the corner, hitting her with some elbows. She set Stephanie up on the turnbuckle, but Stephanie kicked her in the face and put her in a rope-assisted armbar. Bella broke it up, though. All three climbed to the top turnbuckle, and somehow Nikki Bella got a double superplex on both of them. I didn't think this was going to work, but kudos to Nikki Bella for getting both of them over. She couldn't land a pin on either woman and went for an AA on Stephanie. So now she's stealing John Cena's moves because I guess that's okay to do now that John Cena's not wrestling anymore. Rodriguez interrupted it with a big boot. She then tried a powerbomb. Nikki Bella got free, walked right into a Stephanie Vaquer, hitting a big Angel's Wing pile driver. Raquel broke up the pin off that. Stephanie hits a jawbreaker on Rodriguez, but she blocked whatever came next, and Vaquer was forced to hit a small package. She went for a pin, not enough. Rodriguez then dragged Stephanie to the corner, went for a big move, but Nikki Bella pulled Vaquer out of the way and tried for a flash pin. Rodriguez then picked up Stephanie and Bella, but Stephanie worked herself out. Bella took a powerbomb. Vaquer then threw Rodriguez out of the ring after she had given Bella a Tejana bomb, scooped up Bella for the 1, 2, 3, and she retains her Women's World Championship. So the Tejana bomb connects on Nikki Bella. Stephanie had the wherewithal to throw Rodriguez out of the ring after hitting the Tejana bomb, and she steals the match. It's a very heel maneuver there by the Women's World Champion. It was the right outcome. Stephanie should not be losing the championship to the likes of Raquel or Nikki Bella. Nobody wants to see Nikki Bella as the Women's World Champion. And I don't think with all the talk about, is Bron Breakker going to win the championship? Is Drew McIntyre going to win the championship? This would be overload for WWE. They can't handle this type of creative change. So with everything going on with the men, is it going to make sense for WWE to switch one of their women's championships for no reason? Nikki Bella more than likely operates better as a heel. That doesn't mean she needs to be the champion. And Raquel Rodriguez is never going to be the champion in this circumstance. And her losing is only going to further the story in the Judgment Day because they need gold. They want gold. Rodriguez was there going after gold and she failed. So now I'm assuming it's going to be Roxanne and Liv talking down to Raquel about how she didn't get the job done, and more tension's going to arise from Raquel because the ladies are going to blame her for not getting the job done and bringing home the Women's World Championship. This was fine. It's not anything I'm going to go back and rewatch or anything, but it was decent enough, and the outcome was correct. Stephanie Vaquer wins and retains the championship over Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. Backstage, Gunther, he was interviewed, and he was asked about the consensus that he has not been acting respectful to anybody since beating John Cena. Gunther says it's not precise to say he defeated John Cena. He clarified that he made John Cena tap out. R-Truth interrupted Gunther and said Cena is his hero, and every week he says the same old thing. He says he's a piece of, and he whispered in his ear, and I'm assuming he says Gunther is a piece of shit. Gunther didn't like it. He laughed. Truth says he's not a very good person. So Gunther laughed in Truth's face and asked, is this a challenge? R-Truth just stood there, and Gunther said, I'll see you in the ring. Now, I didn't know when we were getting this, but apparently they decided to give us this match tonight, and it didn't really do anything to enhance Gunther's heat. It was very paint-by-number stuff. It was almost like WWE realized, well, we haven't had Gunther in the ring wrestling, so let's get him in the ring wrestling, and let's have him beat R-Truth, who everybody loves, and he'll just add on more heat on top of the existing heat he has coming out of John Cena's retirement match. And it really didn't work. The Kabuki Warriors, they made their way to the ring. They showed a clip of Asuka's win over Rhea Ripley last week. Asuka's in the ring gloating about beating Rhea Ripley last week. She said the fans think that's Asuka's first win over Rhea Ripley in 8 attempts, by the way. She was 0-8 walking into that match with Rhea Ripley last week. She said the fans think their stupid mommy can take out Asuka. She says the fans are stupid babies. Asuka started shaking her leg like she was Elvis in Vegas. And Kyrie started freaking out. Fans were chanting, EO, EO. Asuka went on and on. Ripley and Io marched out. Apparently, Asuka also yelled at Kairi Sane because Kairi was telling the fans that Io and Rhea are babies, and she yelled, Kairi! And she starts shaking her leg for some reason, like she was fucking a dog going on a walk and needing to pee on the fire hydrant. Ripley and Sky came out, went after both Kabuki Warriors. Ripley kicked Asuka as Kairi and Io fought by the announce desk. Rhea and Io eventually cleared the ring. The heels retreated. And this was basically a final plug, a final segment, the final push for their tag team title match next week, which right now is still 2-on-2. I thought with Lash Legend and Nia Jax beating the Kabuki Warriors a couple of weeks ago clean, that they probably be added to this match, making it a triple threat match, and then we get Alexa and Charlotte being added because they said so, making it a fatal four-way. But apparently it's still a 2-on-2 match. Now, we still have Friday night to go. They could always change the match to a triple threat match then. But as of right now, it's still a 2-on-2 match. This entire segment honestly didn't even need to happen. Going to be perfectly honest with you. The Kabuki Warriors in the ring with a microphone is a tough sell. Like, I love Asuka. I think Asuka is fucking highly entertaining as a heel. I think she's great. Kairi is good in small doses. Kairi's acting is very cringy. I just don't take anything she does seriously until the bell rings and she's a great wrestler. But Kairi's acting and the way she speaks and the way she cuts a promo, bro, this was not good. This was not good. You can barely understand her. Like, I don't know why they tend to take these women out of their elements. I don't. Like, they are so much more better contained to a pre-tape backstage vignette. It's so much more impactful than sending them out in the ring, having them cut a promo in not their native language, in front of an audience that can't understand what they're saying, and then starts giving them the what treatment. Why? And then WWE, they give us a Rhea Ripley and Io pre-tape backstage segment later in the show. Why did we need this segment when all we needed was what you gave us with Rhea and Io later in the show? What more does Io and Rhea Ripley need to do? What more does Asuka and Kairi Sane need to say? What? Rhea Ripley had every reason to cut a promo after losing to Asuka last week. We didn't need this segment. We didn't need them retreating from the baby faces. Rhea lost last week. Before that, she got misted in the face. She has enough ammunition to cut a backstage pre-tape vignette promo. Keep it simple. Instead of sending them out to the ring and then stinking up a 5-minute segment that didn't need to happen. Could have put this 5 or 6 minutes towards the main event. I don't get it. Rey Mysterio's backstage. He chatted with CM Punk. Rey told Punk he knows he wants to have his back. But tonight, I got this covered. We didn't know what that means. He says he's got the backup covered tonight. Gunther. He went one-on-one with R-Truth. This is the start of the second hour of tonight's Monday Night Raw. This went 4 minutes. Gunther tapped out John Cena. He came out the next 2 weeks to cut basically the same promo and called John Cena a bitch for tapping out. The first night he came out, he was in front of Hershey, Pennsylvania. The second week he came out, he was in front of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Not really the best of crowds to be cutting promos after retiring John Cena. Kevin Nash recently said on his show, on his podcast, that Gunther's heat is manufactured. It's not real heat. Oh, it's real heat, but it's also manufactured heat. WWE's trying way too hard to keep it up. And having him wrestle R-Truth is not going to add to the heat that Gunther should automatically be getting by retiring John Cena. We don't need to see Gunther beating up John Cena's hand-me-downs. What exactly did this do for Gunther and everything he's done the last 2 weeks? I honestly think this took away from what he did retiring John Cena. This did nothing. He didn't do anything more than just beat R-Truth. He didn't say anything. He didn't cut a promo. He went in here laughing that R-Truth was standing up for himself and the fact that he was standing up for Cena's legacy. He feels Gunther is disrespecting John Cena's legacy. Bro, you could not have been any more uncreative about taking Gunther from retiring one of the greatest of all time and then putting him in a wrestling exhibition against a fucking jobber, thinking that it was going to enhance his overall heat. This was as uncreative of a decision that they made all month. R-Truth got some offense. He went after Gunther aggressively at the start of the match. Gunther ate all the offense, chopped Truth once he went down. Gunther waved his hand in front of Gunther's face, doing the "you can't see me." Truth fought back. Gunther swatted him down, picked him up for a powerbomb. He lifted his shoulders at 2 and then shifted into a sleeper, and Gunther tapped out R-Truth. I'd love for someone in the chat to tell me exactly what Gunther did here and how it did Gunther's heat enhance after tonight's show. Not really the greatest way to use Gunther here. They could have at least had him cut a promo. They could have had him fucking bloody this guy up. Like, what are we doing here? It almost feels like they're actively trying to kill Gunther's push and Gunther's heat. There's no way you can convince me that nothing else could have been done here to enhance his heat. Yeah, we'll just have him beat R-Truth. That'll be enough. Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso backstage had a pep talk. Jey was very low-key here. He was very bothered. Jimmy asked if he was all right. "You're my brother. I know when something is wrong." Jey assured him he was all right, but not convincing. He was not convincing at all. Jimmy says he needs him at 100%. Jey went on to tell Jimmy that he doesn't feel like anything's been going his way. He said everywhere he turns, it's been bad, and he doesn't want to drag Jimmy into that space. Jimmy said the only bad spot is in his head. He says he was a world champion, and he's an 8-time tag team champion. He said everyone in the audience is eager to yell one word, 4 letters, yeet. Jey stood up and said, yeet. Did anybody in the chat tonight, did anybody else get a sense that maybe Jey would be turning on his brother Jimmy tonight? That could still be the long game here. That could still be the play. But I thought after this kind of pensive, just kind of down on his luck Jey Uso tonight, I thought maybe that they'd explore turning heel or have Jey Uso turn heel after a possible loss to AJ Styles and Dragon Lee tonight. Now, again, like I said, that could be the long-term play here. We'll have to see it play out, but something doesn't sit right with me here. I think there's a lot more that we don't know here. We're seeing surface level stuff, but I think there's something more to this. I don't think this is like, hey, the Usos are back together and they're going to win the tag team championships and the division's going to be great for it. I think something else is going on here that we just can't figure out yet. Backstage, Javon Evans acted really high as he gave AJ Styles and Dragon Lee a pep talk. Styles asked what he was doing there, and he giggled and says he don't even know. Javon Evans doesn't even know why he's on Monday night. He says he was going to meet with GM Adam Pearce to find out. Styles said, well, maybe that means that he's going to end up on Raw. Styles says he and Leon Slater took them to the limit at Saturday Night's Main Event, and they can run it back again anytime. Los Americanos walked up to Javon Evans. Evans says he's not running from any of them. Styles and Dragon Lee stood by Evans. Dragon Lee threw some Spanish words at El Grande Americano. Styles and Evans says they didn't know what El Grande Americano just said. He spoke all in Spanish, so I wish I had a translation for you. I'm sure he was talking shit to Javon Evans. Maybe we get Americano versus Evans at some point. I'll take it. In the background during this segment, while they were going face-to-face, Julius Creed, Brutus Creed, and Ivy Nile were in the background watching. I wonder how soon Chad Gable is going to be returning to WWE television, and when he comes face-to-face with El Grande Americano, I wonder what the result of that meeting is going to do. Could we see two El Grande Americanos? Who is the real Americano? They aired a short Obafemi vignette. They aired one on Friday as well. So we didn't know what that meant on Friday. Everybody took it as, well, maybe he lands on Friday Night SmackDown, but they aired a vignette here again for Obafemi on Monday. So we don't know what brand he's going to be on. And he's still the NXT champion. He defends that championship against Leon Slater at New Year's Evil this week. So he has to lose that championship first before we bring him up to the main roster. But, I mean, that didn't stop them before. They did that with Kevin Owens. So they could very much bring him to the main roster and have him on the main roster as NXT champion. But I would rather him lose the championship to whomever is next and then make his way up. I just don't think they're going to put the belt on Leon Slater, who's the current X Division TNA champion. Maybe it's my guy Tony D. Maybe he wins the belt. Austin Theory was backstage warming up. Logan Paul sat behind him. Heyman walked in and told Theory it's a big night for him. You're not going to let Rey Mysterio ruin it for you now, are you? Theory says he wasn't and called Heyman sir. No, I'm not, sir. Breakker told Theory they have his back from now on. Welcome to the Vision. Theory told Reed, I acknowledge you, my tribal thief. Logan says he's not the most humble guy in the world. Heyman says, yes, you are. Disagreeing with Logan Paul. He says he's also one of the biggest stars walking on the planet. He said on his first day in the Vision, he was a little nervous, but Theory was great out there last week. He says he has his back. Heyman told Logan, why don't you go take Theory to the ring and have some bonding time with the new member? So Logan walked Theory to the ring. Theory versus Rey Mysterio. Theory made his entrance. Barrett says he has new music and a new mindset and a complete shift in his personality. I've always enjoyed Austin Theory's presentation. I think the camera work and the lighting and the way that they present Austin Theory is very good. He looks like $1 million. He got new theme music that was very Linkin Park-esque. A lot of people ask me on social media what I thought of it. I don't really have a set opinion on it yet, but it wasn't the worst thing I heard. It actually is a lot better than his old theme, which was awful, but I like this one a lot better so far. I'd have to hear it a little bit more, but I do think that it fit him pretty well. So I'm genuinely curious if that is a Def Rebel creation or if it's something that they've licensed from someone, because it did sound kind of emo-y rock. It did sound Linkin Park-esque. I'm genuinely curious what they did there with his theme music, but it wasn't bad upon first listen. Mysterio versus Austin Theory. This went 8 minutes. I mean, a lot of people are looking at Theory as the newest member of the Vision. And he's going to be a guy, I know Salamonster mentioned last week when we talked about this on TNT and the way that he presented himself last week in that tag team match. He thinks that by adding Austin Theory to the Vision, it adds someone to the group that could eat pins. Which I don't find him to be completely wrong there. I mean, we probably won't see that immediately. But they don't want to beat Bron Breakker. They don't want to beat Bronson Reed. They certainly don't want to beat Logan Paul. So if there's one guy by default who's going to be taking some of the pinfalls, it's going to be Austin Theory. Now, I didn't expect him to take a pinfall here after winning last week. Austin Theory should not be losing immediately. Let's win 8 minutes. We'll pick it up here right at the top. Theory is on the mat. Mysterio countered with a back elbow and grounded him with a hurricanrana. He sold the shit out of it, did Theory. Theory is a great sell. He moves around very well in there. Theory popped back up, laid some big shots in on Mysterio. Mysterio countered with a jawbreaker. Theory kept up this offense. Mysterio got him in position for a 619. Theory rolled out of the ring, and Mysterio followed. Theory caught him and slammed him into the ring post. And we go into a commercial break. Theory stomped on Mysterio's hand, set him up for a flapjack. Mysterio tried to roll him up and steal a pinfall. Theory kicked out at a 2 and began stomping Mysterio's bad knees. Theory continued to beat on Mysterio from post to post, working on his back, working on his legs. So obviously he came in with a game plan here. Theory put Mysterio in a tree of woe. Mysterio countered when he charged and hit a West Coast pop into a hurricanrana. He then punched him in the head 10 times, did the signature 10 punches in the corner. Theory countered with a big boot. Logan Paul starts offering advice here on the outside to Theory. And Theory picked up Mysterio in a torture rack position. Looked like he might have been going for A-Town down. But Mysterio countered into a DDT. And he got a 2 count off the DDT. Mysterio set up for a 619. Theory's on the ropes. As soon as Mysterio went for the second half of the 619 sequence, Logan Paul tripped him from the outside, causing Mysterio to go splat on the apron, and this caused a DQ right in front of the referee. After the match, Paul and Theory beat down Mysterio until Penta. He comes back, made the save. That was the backup. Don't know why Penta wasn't out there earlier. If Logan Paul was already out there for Theory, why Penta didn't show up and just back up Mysterio. It's almost like he came out there too late. So Penta shows up. He's back on the show after being away for a little bit with an injury. He came down to make the save, setting up Paul for a 619 before throwing him over the top rope with a big lariat. So Penta and Mysterio celebrate in the ring as Theory and Logan Paul escape. So this may be a match that they add to next week's show, because I know Penta was like, let's do this. Penta and Rey versus Austin Theory and Logan Paul, which, if you listened to me just speak briefly moments ago, we talked about some people thinking Austin Theory being included in the Vision is going to lead to him taking pinfalls. And if this match takes place next week or in the coming weeks, Austin Theory more than likely is going to be the one to suffer the pinfall against Penta or Rey Mysterio. So Penta's back. I'm glad he's back. The show was missing him greatly, and that gets another superstar back on Monday night. Nice to have him back. He's teaming with everybody but his actual brother. I think it may be time to get the Luchadors, the Lucha Brothers, back together. And with the Usos as tag team champions, which we'll talk about in a second, now may be the best time to get the Lucha Brothers back together. Who else are the Usos going to wrestle? Backstage, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky cut a pre-tape promo about how they are going to beat the Kabuki Warriors next week. Like I said earlier, I don't know why they just didn't do this and why they did that cringy segment with Asuka and Kairi in the ring with microphones. It's all they needed to do was this. Give me a Kabuki Warriors backstage segment pre-taped. Give me an Io and Rhea backstage pre-tape, and we're good. Nothing more really needed to be done. They sent those ladies out there to fucking drown in front of a live audience. Maxine Dupree. She comes on out, Women's Intercontinental Champion, in the ring with a microphone. Orlando chanting, "You deserve it. You deserve it," at Maxine Dupree. Sure. She said she hoped everyone had a good Christmas and she couldn't have won the IC title without the fans. She said on January 5th, she will stop at nothing to retain her championship. She was interrupted by Becky Lynch. Becky insisted she didn't tap out. Fans chanted, "You tapped out, you tapped out." She said the only thing she tapped out of was living in Orlando. This was actually kind of funny. I don't mind Orlando. If I wasn't here, I probably would be in Orlando. She said if they ever get rich and famous, they can move out there too. Or they can move out of Orlando as well if they want. Dupree said she'll make Becky submit again. Becky said she seems moody. She said she didn't come out here to start a fight. She does finish those, though. She came out here to give her, and she couldn't say it. And she eventually mustered up the courage to say it. She said she was out here to give Maxine credit, as she struggled to say the word credit. She said when she first saw her, she thought she was awful and terrible and the worst thing she's seen. Becky admitted that she's gotten a tiny bit better, and she was able to get away with stealing a title, and that is not nothing. Maxine said all she stole was Becky's spotlight, and that is driving her nuts. Maxine said Sports Illustrated might even say after their rematch that Dupree is the IC champion. Becky insists that she's a very nice person, but for 4 weeks of training in a dungeon, you can't make up for what she's done. She said she's overcome corruption trying to stop her, and she always finds a way to win. Becky said next week all eyes will be on Dupree, and she'll have to prove she's everything the fans think she is or everything she knows she is. Welcome to the big time. I think Becky's fantastic. I think Becky is absolutely fantastic. I find her to be more enjoyable than any other female on the microphone in the business right now. Highly, highly entertaining. She's just kind of zoned in and knows exactly what she wants to do now. I would not be surprised if she wins that championship back. If she doesn't win the championship back, I could see Natalya making her return as the low-key legend, Natty Neidhart, and we can see this new MMA dungeon version of badass Natalya. If Maxine is going to retain the championship. But I've always said from day one, I think the title is going to be on Maxine. It's going to be very short-lived. I don't know exactly what Maxine is doing with the championship. I don't really trust WWE to put Maxine in a position where she makes the championship better, or if the championship makes Maxine better. I don't really see that working out right now. Maxine has gotten better. Don't get me wrong. Maxine is cutting some, I would say, decent promos. I wouldn't say she's solid or good yet, but Maxine seems a little bit more comfortable out there, kind of getting into the rhythm of things. She's not bad. We've seen worse. I just don't see what the title is doing for Maxine, and I don't see what WWE is doing for Maxine for the championship. So maybe the best thing is for WWE to put the title back on Becky Lynch. Because Becky's not going after the Women's World Championship. I'm assuming that's going to be either Io or Rhea when WrestleMania comes. So put the title back on Becky or keep it on Maxine and have Natalya come back. Which one do you guys prefer? The New Day. They cut a promo with Byron Saxton, and apparently they were at ringside cutting a promo about how the WWE Tag Team division is dead with AJ Lee, not AJ Lee, Dragon Lee, AJ Styles, and Dragon Lee. I guess it's AJ Lee. I kind of got it right. Dragon Lee and AJ Styles. If the Usos win tonight, then the division will be in hell. Woods took the microphone and reminded everyone who the most decorated tag team in WWE is. Woods said the audience should thank God for the New Day. I actually like that shtick from Woods. I think that's good. I like that. The New Day is not anywhere near as important as they were. So even though the New Day and the Usos have history, they were beaten last week. So it doesn't really matter if the Usos won the championship. We'll talk about that in a second. Where do they go with the titles? I don't think the titles being on the Usos is the story. I don't think them in the division is the story. I think there's something more to that story there that's not about the tag team or the titles. Trick Williams. He was shown backstage with Adam Pearce. He made a pitch to Evans to join the Red Brand before, and now we got Trick Williams. Apparently, Trick Williams was on Friday Night SmackDown, and he was talking to Nick Aldis, and Nick Aldis is very interested in bringing Trick Williams to Friday Night SmackDown, which I think is the right move. I think that's the right brand for him. So tonight he was shown talking to Adam Pearce. Trick is in a bidding war, apparently, between Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, and left his business card with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce wants to see more of Trick Williams on Monday night. I'd love to see Trick Williams anywhere, honestly. Just get him on a fucking brand. Bayley and Lyra arrived, and they were complaining about their lack of women's tag team championship matches. Bayley started calling Adam Pearce a stupid idiot and yelling at him, standing like 2 feet away from him. Adam Pearce is like, I hear you. You don't need to yell. Lyra wants to know why they're not in the women's tag team match and why they're not next, because Bayley beat Roxanne Perez last week. So I'd like to see us get a championship match. Meanwhile, we got Roxanne and Liv going after the tag team championships and claiming to everybody that they're next. What about us? So Bayley called Pearce an idiot. They left. Adam Pearce told Lyra that he will take it under consideration. Pearce says, get me a drink. Get me a drink. They went back to ringside, and Wade Barrett says, yeah, me too. Get me one too. I love that Adam Pearce and Wade Barrett make it no secret that they enjoy a fine, cold adult beverage. I love it. Good on them. Role model. Main event. Tag team championships on the line. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending against the Usos, Jimmy and Jey Uso. This was a great main event. Great main event. Usos yeeted their way into the arena from the mezzanine. And the champions got their entrance. Jey and Styles start things off. We start things slow with a lockup. Jey got Styles into the corner. Referee broke it up. Jey dodged a Styles charge, threw a fist in his face. Styles comes back with a drop kick, tags in Dragon Lee almost immediately. They double-teamed Jey, who rolled out of the ring. Jimmy tried to get in there, and they sent him out of the ring too. But Jimmy, on the way out of the ring, he was tossed into the ropes, and his eggs were scrambled on the way out of the ring, if you know what I mean. So he was reeling on the outside. He was a little too much in pain on the outside. So Lee and AJ are in control. So they let them get back into their corner. Jey was still legal, faced off against Dragon Lee. And they are going at it. Lee used Jey's yeet gesture as a way to kind of taunt Jey Uso. Tagged in Styles, who went in for a quick cover. Jey kicked out of the 2 off some offense. Jey managed to get near enough to his corner for Jimmy to tag in. And then he gets in there with Dragon Lee, and he is in a headlock. Lee starts fighting out of it. Jimmy threw him to the ground, locked it back in. Lee got out of it, landed a double stomp on Jimmy to change the momentum of the match over back to them. Styles made a blind tag, chopped Jimmy against the ropes. He delivered a back elbow to Jimmy and Jey. Or he delivered a back elbow to Jimmy, rather, and Jey hit a high kick through the ropes while the ref's back was turned. So we got some cheap offense there. Jey tagged in officially, stomped Styles in the midsection. He tagged in Jimmy, held Styles for Jimmy to throw some chops. Dragon Lee tagged back in, hit a head scissors on Jimmy. He then hit a springboard dropkick in the corner, charged at Jimmy as he struggled to get to his feet. Jimmy dodged and tagged in Jey. Dragon Lee caught Jey in a sit-out powerbomb. Jey kicked out of the 2. Jey rolled, and Lee went to dive after them, but Jimmy grabbed his ankles and dragged him to the outside. So Jimmy starts pulling the cover off the announce table. He starts wiping everything off the announce table. Styles leapt off the stairs to stop him. Jay leapt over the top rope to take out Styles and put Jimmy back in the ring. Dragon Lee's dive to the outside. I don't know how he gets the distance he gets, but he cleared the distance between the apron and the table every single time. I don't know how he does it. It's like he shot out of a fucking cannon. So Lee rolled back in, crowd chants for tables. Jay tagged in to headbutt on Lee. Jimmy tagged back in. They trade shots and tags on Dragon Lee, who's isolated in their corner, cutting him off from making the tag to Styles. Jay snuck in another shot to Dragon Lee behind the referee's back, and Jimmy is in the corner working offense as well. We got two babyface teams here. The crowd is obviously split between both of them. Let's go Usos. Let's go Styles. Much to Jimmy's confusion here, he didn't understand why. Jay tagged in, knocked Styles off the apron. Jimmy tagged back in, chopped Lee in the corner, setting him up for the top turnbuckle spot that came next. Jimmy went for a DDT. Lee countered it into a big double stomp. Lee got the hot tag to Styles as Jimmy got one to Jay, and they met in the middle of the ring. Styles starts spamming kicks and punches, taking out Jay and Jimmy. He set up Jay for a Styles clash, but Jay powered out, and this spot was great. So he set up for the Styles clash. Jay powered out, hits a spear, tags in Jimmy, who goes to the top rope and hits a very emphatic Uso splash, and Jimmy almost got the win. Styles kicked out at a 2.99. Couldn't believe it. The crowd was on their feet. Jimmy couldn't believe it. Jimmy went up top for another big splash. Lee pulled him off the turnbuckle. Jay charged him. Lee dodged and Jay hit his head on the ring post. Jimmy moved to the outside and Lee dove after him, driving him into the announce table. Again, I don't know how he makes the distance between the apron and the fucking announce table. He clears it every fucking time. Back in the ring, Styles and Jay battled until Styles was able to get a Styles clash. He pinned Jay, but Jay kicked out of 2 off the Styles clash. So the crowd is chanting, "This is awesome." So all 4 returned to their corners. Lee hit a double stomp. Styles went for another Styles clash. Jimmy came back in and took out Dragon Lee. Styles went for a nominal forearm. He was met with a double super kick from the Usos. So he's out. He's in the ring, but he's out. Usos quickly hit a flurry of moves, including a 1D on Dragon Lee. Styles was in the ring and could not make it back to a conscious state. Because remember, he was double super kick, but he was in the ring knocked out. They gave Dragon Lee the 1D. They pinned Dragon Lee. Fingertips away from Styles. He was not able to make the break of the count. After the 1D, the referee counts 1, 2, 3. And the Usos are now 9-time WWE Tag Team Champions. Usos celebrated. They left through the crowd with their titles. Fireworks went off. Jey Uso is smiling once again. I thought this was a great main event. I thought this was a great main event. All 4 guys are fucking great. Usos are great in the tag team element. Okay? This match proved one thing. That Jimmy in small doses is very good. That Jay and Jimmy together are very good at what they do. Jay in small doses is good. Jimmy in small doses is good, though I think Jimmy is the better overall wrestler out of the 2. Them together is so much better than them separated. The only question is, adding the Usos to the tag team division adds one more team to the division. But what division are you adding them to? There are no credible teams in the division. Adding the Usos together in the division, you already worked this match. You got Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, which was a great match. The New Day they beat last week. The War Raiders, don't really care to see it. The Judgment Day, don't care to see it. JD McDonough, who knows when he's going to be back. Finn Balor is the only healthy male in the Judgment Day. So they're not even a part of the tag team division. So you basically added the Usos, and the Judgment Day are no longer a tag team because JD McDonough is going to be out for months. So the tag team division is in the same state that it was in before we got this match tonight and before we crowned the Usos the new tag team champions. So my question is, where are we going now with the Usos as champion? How do you give us any different of a division with new champions? I don't see how that's possible. In my eyes, there's only one of two options here. One, WWE's not going to do. And this is just me fantasy booking. The MFTs are going to eventually win the tag team championships from the Wyatt Six. Let's be real. On Friday Night SmackDown, they're going to be the WWE tag team champions. Whatever concoction of the MFTs are going to win, they'll be the new tag team champions. If WWE is smart, they use the family to get back to basics with the tag team division. MFTs, whether it's Tama Tonga or Tonga Loa, or JC Mateo and Tola Tonga, or whoever, a mix of whatever, against the Usos at WrestleMania in a unification match for the WWE Tag Team Championships. I said this once, and I'm going to repeat it until I can't say it anymore. The Women's Tag Team Championships are able to float between Raw and SmackDown, SmackDown and Raw, Raw and NXT, SmackDown and NXT. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair are SmackDown performers, yet they're on Raw more times this month than they were on their own show. I don't understand why we have one set of rules for one titles and the men's tag team titles don't operate under the same premise of rules. That's something that I've urged WWE to fix for years now. There's no division in the men's tag team division on Monday night, and it's worse on Friday. There's like 6 teams over there, and we don't see any of them. So what exactly are we doing? Where do we go with the Usos as champion? Unless it's a unification match that's leading to a family warfare at WrestleMania. Or maybe it's not even that. I don't think Jay wants to team with Jimmy. I thought before tonight's segment, or before tonight's match, in that segment with Jimmy and Jay Uso in the back, I thought Jay was going to be down on his luck, take that luck and lose, and then turn on his brother. That's what I thought. But they won the titles tonight. But that may be the long game. Maybe they put the titles on the Usos and will continue to play out that Jay feels down on his luck. And then when they eventually lose the titles, it's because of Jay and not Jimmy. And then Jimmy eventually turns on Jimmy. Because I know for a fact, and it's been talked about by both of them, it's been talked about by their father, they want a redo over their WrestleMania match where they went one-on-one. I don't really give a shit to see it. It was awful then. I can't really see it being any better now. And I don't think that they're ready to turn Jey Uso heel. I don't want to turn Jey Uso heel because I would pick anybody but Jey Uso to turn heel. If you're going to turn a babyface heel, I would rather see Cody turn heel. I'd rather see LA Knight turn fucking heel. I'm not turning Jey Uso heel. I would lobby to fix the divisions and merge the fucking divisions and merge the titles. That would be my number one go. That would be my choice. But maybe the role here with them as tag team champions is not about the division. It's not about the championships. It's about the fact that Jay is going to eventually fall down on his luck again, and he's going to be the reason why they lose. And then he eventually takes it out on his brother. I just feel like there's something else going on there that we're not really seeing right now. Let me know how you guys feel about that. I just feel like if the MFTs win the tag team championships, I think it's time we discuss a unification. Consolidate. One company's adding too many titles, and this company here on Monday and Friday, I mean, they got no fucking division to really make sense of having 2 separate sets of titles. Consolidate should be the name of the game in 2026. Thank you guys very much for all your support. I thought tonight was a decent enough show. I'm looking forward to next week's show. Should be good, from Brooklyn, New York at the Barclays Center. And we're going to get into your super chats right now. Right here on this Monday Night Raw Post Show. Sponsored by my great friends over at Blue Chew. Make sure you guys use that promo code JD. 10% off. Blue Chew Gold. 10% off your order. Legends show up when it matters. Set the gold standard in your own main event. 10% off your first month with promo code JD at BlueChew.com. As you guys know, John Cena stepped into the ring one last time a couple of weeks ago. He went out fighting, even in defeat against Gunther. That's what legends do. They don't quit. He did. He did. They don't duck the moment. They show up when it matters. And fellas, if you want to show up like a legend in your own main event, that's where Blue Chew Gold comes in. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This isn't some mid-card nostalgia act. This is a 4-in-1 powerhouse that sets the gold standard for performance. It's built to help you bring energy, confidence, and connection when the moment calls for it. No shortcuts, no sloppy booking, no Tony Khan Twitter announcements at 3 a.m. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue and can work in as little as 15 minutes. That's faster than Cena hitting the ring for one last "you can't see me." Elevation without any hesitation. And this isn't just about performance. This is about legacy, or what I like to say is your third leg-a-see. Because when all is said and done and you want to have them talking about how strong you finished, that's where Blue Chew is going to come into play, not how early the bell rang. Make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with code JD. That's promo code JD at BlueChew.com. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And I want to thank them once again for sponsoring this final Raw Post Show right here on Off the Script for 2025. How don't I laugh doing the sponsor reads? I don't know. I'm not in a laughing mood. See what we got here, man. Look at this. Look at this guy. Non-stop grift. I've never told anyone how to feel, nor has anyone else. It's all selective outrage to try to draw clicks. I'm embarrassed. I'm even signal boosting it. A difference between JD and many of my colleagues is that we could do his job. He couldn't do ours. Boy, that sounds like a Chat GPT fucking written tweet if I ever seen one, bro. Listen, chat. If Mr. Alba could do my job, he'd be on here 5 nights a week in front of the audience that we've cultivated, which is the largest audience in the space every single night, in a down period right now. If Alba was so good, like he says he is, he would be able to do it every single night and would have already done it and would be doing it. The reason why he can't do it, the reason why he's not doing it is because he can't do it. I find it funny how they think they could do what I do. If they could do what I do, where is their audience? Where are their streams? Where is their presence in this space? Where is their entertainment value? I draw a larger audience than every single one of them combined on that panel that gave those fake awards out. Those clearly bought and paid for awards by Sports Illustrated. The reason why John Alba isn't working with Eric Bischoff anymore is because Eric Bischoff didn't want him on the fucking show, because John Alba is so fucking toxic with positivity that he's afraid to say anything negative about AEW. If he says anything negative about AEW, his bread and butter goes away. He acted like a little schoolgirl today. Just kind of, oh, look at my interview with Tony Khan. An interview with Tony Khan you're still bragging about after the pay-per-view is now 72 hours removed from Sunday. Bro, nobody gives a shit. I promise you, nobody gives a shit. Tony didn't give you any more of an answer than he gave to fucking Ariel Helwani, and he continued to give you non-answers even in the written interview you've already leaked online that you labeled as exclusive. He offered absolutely nothing of value in that interview. Zero. He's here talking about women's main events. When are the women going to get a main event of their own pay-per-view? Brother, the one time that they had the match to actually do that, they gave it away at All In. And the next time we probably see that match happen again is at All In. The women will never main event a pay-per-view. They've already had the opportunity to do that. It passed them by. If it wasn't Toni Storm and Mariah, and if it wasn't Mercedes and Toni Storm, it's never going to be anybody else. These fucking questions and these narratives, they gotta fucking put it out there, and they gotta, where's the equality for women's wrestling? Why isn't women's wrestling, man? This is what you deem a problem in AEW? Meanwhile, I listed in the clip that I had quote tweeted by him, I listed 4 or 5 fucking things that were wrong with one segment alone, and none of these things ever get addressed. Why is that? Nobody ever pushes Tony Khan to answer any questions, and when he is pushed on something, he's like, oh, everything's great. Oh, we're up 60% in the United Kingdom with AEW Dynamite on ITV. Motherfucker, you ain't drawn a dime in the United States. Not a dime. You can barely fill out music halls in the United States. They have to go overseas to retreat to get their bases covered for Dynamite. If John Alba was so good, he would have already been doing what I'm doing, but he can't. So much so that Bischoff kicked him off the fucking show. And his podcast with Matt Hardy, I feel bad for Matt Hardy, because Matt Hardy's a fucking class act. The fact that he's got to work with an uneducated fucking shill like John Alba, a fucking absolute fucking cocksucker like John Alba, who's afraid to give any negative criticism because he's afraid of losing his space in the media realm. Bro, you work with one half of the greatest tag team of the fucking modern era, and you still can't bring in views. I guarantee you the reason why nobody watches Matt Hardy's podcast on YouTube is because you're a part of it. And no, I don't want to do your job. Wasn't Sports Illustrated ousted by AI? Clearly, Sports Illustrated doesn't need human beings to do your job. All they need to do is go get ChatGPT to do it. No, I can do your job. The thing is, I don't want to do your job because that would mean me lowering myself to fucking wipe the drool off my fucking lips because you got nothing but the taste of Tony Khan's cock all over your mouth. That's something I don't want to do and I refuse to do. And if given the chance to do it, it will be an immediate no. People like John Alba are jealous of the audience we cultivated because they can't do it by themselves. He knows exactly what we do. TNT gets 45,000 views every fucking week. My shows here are #1 constantly, every single week. We did the biggest numbers in the history of the show this year. He knows exactly the numbers I pull. And the fact that he actually put out that statement and that tweet, and he got blasted for it by 85% of the people in his own thread, he's a fucking idiot. He doesn't believe any of the words that he actually had the decency to type out in that tweet. Not one single one of them. But he needed to act cool and hip and fucking in with his colleagues that couldn't hold my fucking ball hair on any given day. You fucking kidding me? None of them can do what I do because they're not honest with themselves. Nobody wants to listen to a boring, fucking toxic positivity podcast about how things are great and give no negative feedback and no criticism. Yet if you listen to the clip that I actually put in that tweet The tweet that he quoted, if you listen to the words that come out of my mouth, all of it is 100% valid, fair criticism. I mean, the guy listens to Bruce Springsteen. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what will. Jesus fucking Christ. You know, I gauge people on what they actually find as enjoyment in music. My favorite lead singer of all time is Miles Kennedy. This guy's Bruce Springsteen. What do you Oh my God, man. You imagine a 30-year-old fucking prim and proper guy who has got to wear suits on fucking YouTube to feel important, man. You fucking kidding me? 30-something-year-old single dude going to a Bruce Springsteen concert, man. John Alba looks like the type of guy that'll fucking write a love letter to a fucking girl he has a crush on, and when she tells him no, he goes cries in the fucking corner, depressed for fucking 6 weeks at a time, listening to sad, sappy love songs from fucking Bruce Springsteen. You gotta be fucking kidding me, man. There is elite in this space. Elites. That's why I laughed my ass off at his fucking tweet. It didn't bother me whatsoever. I find it fucking funny, man. There's elite at this level. I'm at the fucking top. And if you don't see that, you're blind as a fucking bat. I'm in the rarefied air here. Everybody comes here because they know exactly what they're fucking getting. Every single one of you. There are people that aspire to be where I'm at. There are people that want to be where I'm at. And there are people that are upset. There are people that are upset at where I'm at because they want what we have. And they are not talented enough to do it on their own. Out of all the fucking podcasts out there, how many of them are actually fan-made that are successful? I turned this into a business from nothing. From zero. To become one of the more prominent voices and one of the most must-see shows in the space every fucking night. The fact that he actually went out there and said what he said is a fucking detriment to all the fucking hardworking creators out there that have built their channels from nothing. How many podcasts has he had? 9? 8 or 9? He's worse than Matt Coon. Gee, I wonder why. If he was so great at what he does, he'd be right where I am, rubbing elbows with me. No, but he wants to rub elbows with the fucking talent, afraid to say anything bad about Tony Khan because he's afraid about not getting a seat at the fucking next media call. Fuck out of here. Oh. Super chats. Michael Krause with the $2 super chat. Good Monday, JDOTS. How are we today? Let's go. Yeah. Thank you, Michael, as always. Michelle Moran with a $2 super chat. Already, Breakker has outgrown the vision. He's just getting started. He's just getting started. Thomas Malloy with a $1.99. Cooper DeJean is one lucky man. I don't know who that is. Is he dating Sydney Sweeney? Richard, thank you, brother. Happy New Year to you too, man. Isaac with a 12 months. What's your prediction? Who's your prediction to have a breakout year in 26? Javon Evans and Obafemi. Caden Crawford with a $1.99. Stephanie Vaquer retains. Thank God. Oh, is that the guy that's dating Nikki Bella? Cooper DeJean? Yeah, Nikki's a smoke show. She's attractive. So, yes, good for him. As a 20-year-old cornerback, sure. Caden with a 199. Thank you. Richard, thank you for the 100 bomb earlier, brother. Really appreciate you. Glow J with a $5 super chat. Happy New Year, JD, Jesse, Solomon. So you guys are like family. Love you guys very much. Health, happiness, and peace throughout the new year. Thank you, Glow J. And the same right back at you. Michael Krause with a $2 super chat. Role model. Tony Brown with a $4.99. JD, I consider you the IWC wise man. So which pair of Stephanie's lips are the most kissable? Yeah, those lips. Tony. You got to go out with a fucking bang on this last Monday night stream, huh? Michelle Moran with a $2 super chat. Usos as tag team champions. Triple H playing it safe and playing it stale. Marshall with the 199. Can we please take the IC title away from Maxine? It may happen next week, brother. I don't really see what they're doing with her as the champion. Sidro with a 2. What do you call a scuba diving dog? A subwoofer. Woof, woof, woof. Final super chat by Sidro. What do sprinters eat before they race? Nothing. They fast. And what did the firefighter say when the brothel was on fire? Grab the hose! I think Solomon's been like that one tomorrow, man. Tommy Brannigan with the 47 months. Wanted to wish you, JD, and Jesse, and Jason all the best. Happy New Year. OTS for life. Tommy, thank you, brother. Happy New Year to you, bro. Tribal Chief with a $2 super chat. Main event was badass. OTS for life. Pow! By the way, did you see all the media doing fucking circle jerks around each other? Oh, this was a fantastic report. Oh, this was a great report by Brandon Thurston. Oh, Brandon Thurston did some great work here. The same media that criticized me for being a conspiracy theorist and the same media that called me out for being wrong when I told everybody, because I knew right from the word go what was going on, that Vince was in charge. Yet today, it was uncovered, text messages were leaked, that Vince was still very much in charge going into WrestleMania 39. Gee. Chat, who called that out then? And stood firm on that? And knew exactly what was going on before anybody else? Who was criticized heavily and called out for it heavily when it happened? It's crazy. It's crazy how out of everybody, there is rarefied air in this space. There may be one or two people, I am one of those two, that called everything to a fucking T when it came to Vince McMahon. Every single detail without an ounce of reporting or an ounce of a fucking lead. That's when you know I'm fucking great at what I do. Jorge with a 1 month. Hey, JD, did you hear Austin Theory's new theme? What do you think? What are your favorite types of stories in wrestling? I did hear the theme. Theme was good. I need more time with it to really get a sense of what it's going to do for him. My favorite types of stories, I love when stories have a personal feel and a personal edge to them. Something like The Bloodline. With Sammy being abused and manipulated, we've all been there. We've all kind of been a part of that at some point in our life, whether it was with a relationship we were in or an employer that we work for. Something that's relatable to the audience. 009.5 with a super chat. JD, let me talk to you. I started watching WWE again in 2024 because of The Rock. I continue to follow it because of you. Thank you for what you do, bro. Happy holidays to you and the OTS family. 009 and a half. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you. Lennon, we listen to you, JD. OTS for life. Lennon, I'm happy you're here, brother. Riley with a 499. JD, are you saying AEW wrestlers have creative control? Yes. Chris Jericho had creative control. Yes. And so does John Moxley, and so does MJF to an extent, and so does Mercedes, and so does Copeland, and so does Lashley. Which is the most egregious of them all, and how nobody sees it, I don't fucking know. Basic with a 499. Let's not forget what Jericho said about TNA looking like the second biggest wrestling promotion. He was already out. By the time he made that comment, he was already out the door. Illuminati with a $2 super chat. I hope there is a 2025 Best Sidro Joke Award. There is not, but I'll leave that up to Sidro. Sidro, if you want to be nominated tomorrow, give me what you thought was your best joke, bro. G-Man 146 199. Any TNA on AMC reviews? No. Maybe for that first show, but no. Dalton Meister with a $5 super chat. I know it probably won't happen, but I think it would be better if Jericho joined SmackDown. If he does sign with WWE, Cody needs new people to feud with. Jericho not on Netflix, bro. I don't see it happening. Carlos Ortiz with a 199. Is Jericho's WWE return song Judas or Break the Walls? Judas. G-Man with a new membership. Thank you, G-Man. Sidro with a $5 super chat. What is a horse's favorite wine? Chardonnay. I'm on day 284 without sex. When jogging in flip-flops just to remember the sound. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That sounds like a good idea, Sidro. Yeah, DM them to me. Nathan Cox. Answer a Sidro sex joke with the 199. Jericho screws Punk, new leader of the division. Fuck John Alba. I like it. Illuminati with a $10 super chat. Breakker has to win clean. That elevates him farther up the main roster. This allows CM Punk to win the chamber in Chicago. Predictable, but the pop would be awesome. Bro, you speak in my language. I want Punk and Cody at WrestleMania. Bron Breakker and Roman Reigns would be the match for WrestleMania. Jericho joins the Vision. Wrestle Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Hollywood guy with a $5 super chat. Could you see Jericho in a GM role? Maybe taking over for Nick Aldis since he is a talker. Why not? Your thoughts? No. Now, Jericho will be very much wrestling. Illuminati with a $10 super chat. Drew deserves a crowning moment. How do you do this without both guys looking like geeks? Seems like a creative nightmare. If Cody wins, Drew seems buried. If Drew wins, Cody's title reign is wasted again. Yeah, but if Drew wins, Cody's only going to get it back 3 or 4 weeks later. Also with the 2, they got to bring back the OG Uso penitentiary song. They ain't getting rid of that yeet, bro. That yeet is what brings them a smile backstage. Furious Nation with a 999. What's up, JD? The best of the best and definitely better than John Alba. Chris Jericho to WWE is a huge deal, and yes, it is a big blow to AEW and sends a message that the locker room sends a big message to that locker room in AEW. They don't know what the fucking message is, bro. They don't even know what the fuck they're doing on a week-to-week basis. They won't know, and the fan base won't know what that message is because they're all delusional. Also with a 499, I see William Regal's recent tweet regarding neck injuries, and he did not tell any lies. He didn't. And some people were making it out that William Regal should shut up, and they sent him death threats. The fan base is delusional. And the fact that Cody went on a public platform and said, some of the fan base doesn't realize that you're actually driving away viewers from watching because the fan base is so toxic. 100%, 100% factual. $5 super chat for Illuminati here. Been MIA on the OTS gang since Thanksgiving. Glad to be back. Hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas. At JD, I hope you are enjoying the new DLC on D2. I am, but I'm enjoying a little Arc Raiders nowadays, bro. Furious Nation with the $4.99. John Alba equals AEW shill and a clown. JD always keeping it real, never change. Hashtag OTS for life. Thank you, brother. Justin Toner with a $5 super chat. JD, was my birthday this Monday, and I'm glad I celebrated with a great main event on Raw. Thanks for another great show tonight. Happy New Year, brother. Happy birthday. Birthday cake emojis for Justin Toner in the chat. Furious Nation with a $4.99. Jericho leaving AEW is very telling, and yet TK still has the Costco guys on TV. Awful. Sidro with the $2 super chat. Who's worse? And would you fight at Mania? Satin or Alba? I'd absolutely fucking rid us of Satin first. Satin is terrible. Every time I walk into a Whole Foods, I think of Ryan Satin. Furious Nation with a $9.99. Also, JD, I will be at Brooklyn for Raw next week, looking for a good show next week, and we'll be meeting a high school friend there. I haven't seen in over a decade. Looking forward to it. That sounds like a great time, brother. Enjoy yourself. Lenin! John Alba eats corn the long way. Joseph Terrell with a $7 super chat. JD, who's the biggest grifter? John Mini Portable or Wheezy Blonde? Raw was decent. I don't know, man. Minnie's getting up there, man. Her takes on AEW are genuinely fucking nauseating and awful. Like, genuinely awful. You won't get a fucking ounce of criticism or a shred of credibility coming out of her mouth. She don't know what the fuck she's watching. She's like the rest of them, blinded by fucking 5.5-star graps. As the ratings decline month over month, year over year, and their audience is dwindling over 50% since CM Punk left. Yes, that's exactly what I want to watch. An indie show that resembles GCW in front of 1,500 fucking people on a Wednesday night. Gee, I wonder why nobody likes the show anymore. The only people left are the people that are being invited to the fucking lowly media scrums. So much so that AEW's got to get in bed with the fake reactors now because they need momentum. They need social media traction because they've lost everybody else. John is terrible. He's just awful. Out of all of them, John Alba's the worst. Venom Supreme with 46 months. Happy New Year to JD, Jesse, and Solomon. In no particular order. Love you guys. This is Kal-El, by the way. Hate the email thing. Mustangs still rule in 2026. I can't wait for the winter to be over, man. I feel bad for the Dark Horse. I promise the Dark Horse I will never have it outside when it snows or in the cold weather. I promised I would never have snowfall fall on top of it. Furious Nation with a $9.99. Apparently, the Bella Twins just tweeted, give Nikki a chance. Also, Miles Bourne is a lucky guy, too. Happy New Year to you, JD and Solo. Let's end 2025 with a bang and start 26 off right. It's going to be a great year, brother. Harpreet with a $2.79. We'll end with this. Would love to see Mysterio versus Jericho again. Let's get him in first. But yes, I think WWE is going to do well with Chris Jericho. Guys, thank you very much for a very good stream tonight. Did I entertain? Did I give you guys some good discussion? Did we hang out like we usually do and talk business? Yes. Tomorrow night we'll be live for Tuesday Night Titans 127. We're going to go over the year-end awards and close out the final stream of 2025. It should be a good one tomorrow. But the one and only monster himself. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Make sure you guys go and check out all the content on the channel, especially the World's End Post Show, where I grift away and anger the AEW elitists over their terrible programming, delivering terrible creative. Go check that out. And then obviously tomorrow, like I said, 127 TNT. Follow me on social media. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. And please hit that thumbs up. Let's try for, we got 750 likes before we get out of here. That's a modest goal. You guys did great tonight. Thank you all very much. Enjoy your New Year's. I'll see you tomorrow night. We'll do it again. Until then, have a good night, guys. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow night for Tuesday Night Titans with the Solomons, episode 127, the TNT Awards. Tomorrow night right here on TNT. I'll see you guys later.